Okay, part two. And the first match is the first Beat the Clock challenge match between Mark Henry and Carlito. Firstly, Mark Henry should not be involved in any kind of match which involves speed. That is so clearly not playing to his strengths. Secondly, Mark Henry's the sort of opponent Carlito should be beating with ease. I mean, the booking just infuriates me. But aside from all that, Mark Henry and Carlito have been told clearly they've got to have about a 7-minute match, basically. Which is actually good news, because if they're told to have, say, a 3-minute match, then Mark Henry would just squash Carlito. But fortunately, Mark Henry is so limited that he knows he couldn't fill out a 7-minute match. So Carlito actually gets some offense, and that is the high point in the match. When Henry's in control, he's basically just stalling continuously. There's one point where he catches Carlito clearly in the world's strongest slam position and just has to let him go. Henry only has about 3 moves, so all of him just sort of wandering around the ring seems so ridiculous, as he's supposed to be trying to beat the clock. Best part of the match is probably a Carlito missile dropkick, which basically just involved him springboarding and basically just standing on Henry and just stomping him down. That was pretty good. Other than that, it was all pretty terrible. The commentators insinuated that it was all but a foregone conclusion that Carlito was going to lose, and sure enough he does in 6 minutes 49 seconds with the world's strongest slam. I suppose it could have been worse. At least Carlito got some offense in. Then we had a Divas 6 woman tag match. Do Divas ever fight one-on-one matches on TV? I mean, I don't know. Six women tag matches are terrible, because usually at least 2 of the Divas in them are awful. So we had Mickie James, Gail Kim, and Kelly Kelly versus Beth Phoenix, Rosa Mendes, awful, Alicia Fox, awful. For some reason, Michael Cole is not commentating. The King tells us that he's gone backstage to interview Shaq. So the King is just doing his usual play-by-play his usual color commentary without any play-by-play commentary, which is just terrible and results in lots of dead air. This match is awful. At the end of it, Gail Kim thankfully gets the win with a missile dropkick, which apparently is enough to win a Divas match. I was pleased to note Alicia Fox, for once, didn't botch her first move. She actually did a decent-looking tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, then looked surprised. So yeah, Gail Kim gets the pin. Gail Kim's been getting quite a lot of pins recently, but it doesn't seem to lead her any closer to a Divas title match. After the match, Beth Phoenix looked kind of depressed. I don't know if that was indicating that she was #1 contender, or just that she's sick of wrestling with Alicia Fox and Rosa Mendes. But that was that. Then we get Cole backstage for the promised interview with Shaq. Hornswoggle appears, and, you know, basically this is just for people who find it funny. A big man next to a small man. Ha ha ha! Hilarious. Then Cole says something like, "That was Shaq-alicious." I really didn't understand why Cole was backstage. I mean, this was not an interview. Was the point of this segment just to prove Cole is uncool? Because I think everyone had that pretty much reconciled in their mind already. But that was that. Then we had MVP in the second Beat the Clock Challenge match against Chris Masters. Not exactly a spectacular return for Chris Masters. Having said all that stuff, how I don't want Chris Masters to be Chris Jericho's partner, I would have much preferred him to the Big Show. So Masters is back, and which made me slightly worried MVP was going to lose, and indeed this time the King insinuates that there's no chance MVP is going to win. The only interesting thing about this match really was MVP's attempts to escape the Master Lock, you know, the full Nelson. He did a nice sort of climb the turnbuckle arm drag thing, and he also did a nice pinning combination from the Master Lock position. Those were both good. There was a "You Can't Wrestle" chant briefly during the match, and I was wondering who they're directing it to. It better not be MVP, because he can. Outside the ring, Masters tries to keep MVP from getting inside and breaking the referee's count. MVP elbows him off, but Masters gets him in the Master Lock and double count out. MVP doesn't advance in the Beat the Clock challenge. Then we have the Brian Kendrick versus Kofi Kingston. Oh my god, this was so horrible to watch. I mean, Kingston really doesn't deserve this at all. But anyway, so did I say Kingston? I meant Kendrick. Anyway, Kendrick is mouthing off at the King after last week, the King defeating Kendrick in another humiliating, ridiculous match. And he's saying, no one humiliates me on national TV. Actually, everyone does, Kendrick, but okay. And he said he was going to go over there and slap Jerry the King Lawler till he cried, which I would quite happily watch for 2 hours, and I think that'd be a definite improvement on Raw episodes. But anyway, Kendrick doesn't realise the bell's rung, so Kofi just hits him with Trouble in Paradise instantly after 1 second and gets the pinfall victory. Oh dear. Then we have Ted DiBiase backstage attacking Triple H with a crowbar or something, basically taking out his knee. Triple H is probably the only person who would no-sell a backstage run-in attack. I mean, it was so ludicrous, he was just like, oh, that hurt a bit, but now I'm fine. So yeah, it's Triple H versus Cody Rhodes next. And this is exactly what you'd expect. It's a boring Triple H match where he's made to look ridiculously strong and Rhodes is made to look ridiculously weak even though he's selling an injury. I mean, I'm just sick of this. Apparently for Triple H not to beat the clock, it's required that he has a knee injury and that Ted DiBiase interferes. I mean, just fuck off, right? Just fuck off. Anyway, so this match is terrible. Triple H dominates at the start, then Rhodes works on his leg in the most boring way imaginable because Rhodes clearly doesn't know any holds, so it's just, you know, elbows and stuff like that, until he eventually puts on a figure 4 leg lock. Triple H comes back into it with about 1 minute left on the clock, so DiBiase shows up, stands on the ring apron, and Triple H is not allowed to punch him because he'll get disqualified. Is that really a rule? I mean, I'm sure they've used that rule at some other point, but that's clearly not a rule. Why would that make any sense? So yeah, he gets distracted by DiBiase. He still pedigrees Rhodes, but the time runs out, so Triple H can't beat the clock. Thank God. Then we have a segment where Santino's playing Scrabble with Shaq, who's creating all kinds of words which begin with the word Shaq. Crime Time show up, and it becomes a word up segment basically, with Santino playing the part of Jesse, now an Italian who can't rap. How hilarious. Then we have Hornswoggle versus Chavo Guerrero again. This time Chavo is wrestling blindfold. What do you say? You know, I mean, I don't even like Chavo Guerrero that much, but I mean, this is so ludicrous. Anyway, Chavo goes up top for no apparent reason, even though he's blindfolded, tries a frog splash and gets tadpole splash for the win, for a Hornswoggle again. Then we have Jack Swagger telling Randy Orton that the good news is Triple H didn't beat the clock, and the bad news is that he's going to beat the clock. To which Randy Orton responds, am I supposed to be worried? And Swagger tells him, well, of course he is supposed to be worried. But Orton doesn't look worried. Then Mark Henry shows up, and Orton looks terrified. Why? He's shit! Anyway, let's turn over to part 3. Okay.